Okay. So what is procurement management? As the name suggests, procurement management, it contains the process necessary to purchase or acquire products, services, or results needed from outside the project team. To complete your project, you have to do some purchases, some procurements of some product or of some service or of some result, anything you have to buy from outside. So that is procurement management. For example, if you are constructing a house, you have to buy cement, you have to buy iron, you have to buy some electrical equipment. So you have to buy some electrical equipment. So these are the different products or services or results you will be buying. Don't think that we'll be buying only the products. We'll be buying even the services also. Some part of your project you may outsource to external person. He may provide the service. So you are buying service from external parties. And if you take a software project, you have to do a lot of procurements to software also. You must buy some licenses. Maybe if you are doing a project, you need some licenses from Microsoft. You have to buy some MS Office licenses. You have to buy the software. So you are doing some procurement. Similarly, you are taking internet services from internet service provider. So you are procuring internet services. So in IT, the procurements will be comparatively less when compared to construction industry. In construction industry, the project manager will do a lot of procurements during his project. In IT, we do it, but comparatively it's less. Comparatively it's less. Okay. Here, in a procurement process, you will have two entities. One is a buyer and other one is a seller. Okay. Buyer, one who buys the services or product. Seller, one who sells the services, product or results. Buyer, depending upon the situation, you have to remember, henceforth we call a particular entity as buyer or one particular entity as seller. Buyer, depending upon the situation, he may be called customer, in some organizations we call them as customer. In some organization we call them as client. A buyer can be anyone. The name can be anyone. Client. Prime contractor. Prime contractor means sometimes what happens, if you got a contract of some activity, you will outsource this activity to some other person. Then you will become the buyer, the other subcontractor will become the seller. Normally in construction industry these things happen. People whoever does the contract, they don't completely do the work. They will outsource, they will give this work to someone else outside. They are called subcontractors primarily. Okay, so the prime contractor will become a customer, the subcontractor may become a seller. Okay, service requester, or it can be a purchaser. It depends. Purchaser. This is a typo. Purchaser, it depends. Okay. Then for sellers also there are many names, right? For sellers, who sells, who gets the money. There are also different names. We call them as vendors, suppliers. Any other names you know of? Service provider, subcontractor, as I told you. If the prime contractor or contractor is a customer, the subcontractor is the seller then. So Depending upon the application area, depending upon the industry, these names keep changing. But at the end of the day, from now onwards, when it comes to procurement, we say seller and buyer. A seller, one who sells the services; a buyer, one who buys the services. The buyer will pay the money, the seller will get that monetary benefit, and he will provide the services. Clear? Is it clear? Very good. Now there are 4 processes in procurement management: plan procurements, conduct procurements, control procurements, close procurements. Okay. So plan procurements will fall under which process group? Anyone? Plan procurements fall under which process group? Planning. Conduct procurements. What is conduct procurement? Conduct procurement, as per the plan, you will start buying. That is called conduct procurements. For example, you decided to do some shopping. You want to go to some supermarket and you want to buy some provisions. Okay, like your dal, wheat, day-to-day provisions you want to buy. So first you will plan the procurements. You will plan the procurements. Once you plan the procurements, accordingly you will go to the shop. First you will select the shop, to which shop you have to go, and accordingly you will go to the shop and you will start buying it. That is called conduct procurements. Control procurements. When you are doing the shopping, your wife will be behind you. She will be trying to control. No, no, don't buy that. This is not as per the plan. She will try to control it. And finally, the procurements has to be closed. Close procurement. Now tell me, where does conduct procurements will fall? Initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and controlling, or closing? Very good, Raghu. It's execution. Execution. Perfect. So, it's execution. Control procurements. Monitoring and controlling. As the name suggests, anything that starts with control is monitoring and controlling. You'll keep a close watch on that and you try to control the situation. Close control. So, close procurement. Closing. Perfect. So now you have seen the first process in closing. First process in closing. Okay. Close procurement. Still now we have not seen any process in closing. And in integration management, there is one more process called close project. That will be the second process for you. Okay. So here we have all the 4 and initiation you don't have, but planning you have one, execution, monitoring and control, and closing the procurement. Okay. Now plan procurement management. Plan procurement management, as I told even before, any planning is tells you how. The question how will be answered in this plan procurement management. Like any other knowledge area, you have planning here and you will get a procurement management plan. Similar, as we had in scope management, we had scope management plan. In time, we have time management plan. In quality, we have quality management plan. So similarly here we have procurement management plan. So it will tell you how. How are you going to do each process in the project? Each process in the knowledge area. So how are you going to conduct procurements? How are you going to control procurement? How are you going to close the procurement? Everything you will plan upfront. Everything you will plan upfront. Okay. So in plan procurement management is a process of documenting project procurement decisions. When I say procurement decision, whether you want to make yourself or buy. We call it as make or buy analysis. Certain things you can do it on your own in-house. Certain things you have to buy from outside. So which of the things which we can do internal to the project, which are the things which you have to buy from outside? You do a make or buy analysis. Sometimes based on the cost benefit you do the make or buy analysis. Sometimes based on the availability of skills with you will decide on make or buy analysis. If skills are available, you can do it yourself. If skills are not available, you will buy it from outside. What's happening nowadays? The females, they don't know how to cook all different items, unlike our mother's generation. You are buying outside. Any sweets, you will go and buy outside. Any recipes, you will go and buy outside because you don't have skills internally. So you did, instead of making better, we buy from outside. I can't taste your recipe. Yeah. So you will plan. And what type of contracts we will use? Different types of contracts are present, like fixed price contract. Okay. T&M. These are the normally fixed billing. T&M. These are normally in IT use it. Cost reimbursement. There are different types of contracts available. So what is your approach? Which contract are you going to use? And you will identify potential sellers. So here you will document the project decisions. Everything documented. In traditional project management, like the project management what we have been discussing, it's more of documentation. More of documentation. So you have to document project decisions, the approach you have to identify, and you have to identify potential sellers. So what do you need? What inputs are required primarily? You need project management plan. Why? Project management plan contains the plans of all other knowledge areas. Okay. It contains the 3 baselines. The 3 baselines, in 3 baselines, what are the 3 baselines, anyone?
Scope baseline, cost baseline, and
Scope baseline,
cost baseline, scope baseline, and
Schedule baseline.
schedule baseline. Yeah.
See, very important. These are all very important things you have to remember. Baseline, scope baseline, time baseline, and cost baseline. Scope baseline contains what, anyone? So scope baseline contains project scope statement, okay, WBS, WBS dictionary, isn't it? These 3. Project scope statement contains project scope description, deliverables, acceptance criteria, assumptions, constraints, out of scope, isn't it? So this particular thing scope will be very much required for you to decide what to buy from outside, what to make internally to plan your procurement. So your project management plan is very much required. Requirements documentation. Certain requirements, they solicit some side of health concerns, safety concerns, security concerns, performance, environmental, anything. So you can do procurement related to that. Somebody asks some requirement, someone will give some requirement. Because of that requirement, the safety of the individual who is doing that is at a risk. Safety is not there. So related to this safety, you have to buy some service from outside or some material from outside to make sure that your team member is safe. Health related, security related, environmental related, insurance related, licenses, permits. You will know when you read this requirements documentation, any licenses are required. If you want to use certain, someone will ask, I want, you are constructing a house, Someone says, I want the Mona Lisa's painting inside. So you should know to use Mona Lisa painting whether you need any permissions or not. Is the intellectual property right that is dealing with that? If that is the case, then you have to go and purchase this intellectual property right, copyright from Mona Lisa or for that painting, whoever owns this particular painting. So requirements documentation will help in knowing that. Risk register. To address what is risk register? A register which contains all the risk information. To address a particular risk, you may have to buy something outside. Transfer the risks, you remember? You may end up buying some insurance. So you have to procure insurances from outside. You have to buy. The moment buy, it's procurement. Okay? Activity resource requirements. What is activity resource requirements? If you can recall, it is from time management we got it. Okay, the resources required to do an activity. The resources required to do an activity. So this is activity resource requirement. Okay, so the resources required. You need a crane, you need a bulldozer. So that will help you to understand. Project schedule. Sometimes this schedule is required to decide which one do you outsource, which one do it by yourself. Schedule is very tight. Better doing by ourselves, we'll buy from outside. We'll procure from outside. We don't have time. Sometimes it happens in a house also, right? You plan to go to a movie. You don't have time. You will check your watch and says, no, we don't have much time. Better instead of cooking in house, we'll just snack outside and we'll push off to movie because we don't have time. So based on the schedules also, you will take a decision whether to buy or you want to make yourselves. Activity cost estimate. Cost also will decide sometimes. If you do yourselves, it will be very cheap, economical. Sometimes if you buy from outside, it will be economical. Instead of doing houses, better we buy from outside. Okay, so the cost estimation also will decide whether to buy or build it in house. Stakeholder register. Okay, and who are the stakeholders? What are their interests? Based on that also you will decide to make or buy analysis to plan your procurement. Okay, your stakeholders, they look into the project that all the activities has to be done in time. What is their interest? Based on that, you will make some decisions whether you have to buy from outside or whether you have to do it internally. And of course, EEF and OPA. EEF are general listings. Okay, outside the project, like what are the multi-supplier system you will have in our organization, other than outside the project, and what is the availability of suppliers outside. Okay, you decided to buy outside, but supplier should be there to supply, right? You decided to buy a sweet, famous Indian sweet in the US. Instead of doing in-house, better we buy. But in our town, the person should be available. You wanted to add mirchi bhaji. Mirchi bhaji, unfortunately, you don't get suppliers outside in your town. Then you have to do it yourself. So EF will tell the availability of suppliers external to the project in the market. Another thing, OPA. Here OPA is very important. You'll have types of contracts here. Okay. Now, there are 3 types of contracts. For the examination, this particular topic is important. This is part of OPA. OPA is nothing but whatever the policies, procedures, templates you have in the organization. In your organization, assume that there will be 3 types of contracts that will be used. What are the 3 types of contracts? fixed price contract, cost reimbursement contract, time and material contract. So what are the three? Fixed price, cost reimbursement, and T&M, time and material. As the name suggests, fixed price contracts are the contracts where the amount will